Quizlet on the brain. Rostral means towards the forehead. Caudal means towards the spine. Telencephalon is the secondary brain vesicle derived from the procephalon, gives rise to the cerebrum. The diencephalon is the secondary brain vesicle derived from the procephalon, gives rise to the thalamus, hypothalamus, epithalamus, and the retina. Mesencephalon is the primary and secondary brain vesicle that develops into the midbrain. Metencephalon is a secondary brain vesicle derived from the rhombencephalon, gives rise to the pons in the cerebellum. Myelencephalon is a secondary brain vesicle derived from the rhombencephalon, gives rise to the medulla oblongata. Gray matter contains neuron cell bodies and short non-myelinated neurons include soma and dendrites for info processing. White matter, mostly myelinated axons with some non-myelinated axons, used for high-speed communication. Myelinated axons make up most of the white matter, allow for high-speed communications. White matter located deep in the brain, mostly myelinated axons for signal transmission. Gray matter, superficial regions of the body, made up of neuron cell bodies and short non-myelinated neurons involving in processing. Cortex of gray matter. Outer layer of gray matter in the brain contains neurons, cell bodies, and dendrites. Ventricles. Make and circulate cerebrospinal fluid, CSF. Frontal lobe, anterior region of the cerebral hemisphere. Parietal lobe, superior region of the cerebral hemisphere behind the central sulcus. Occipital lobe, posterior region of the cerebral hemisphere. Temporal lobe, lateral region of the cerebral hemisphere beneath the lateral sulcus. Insula, deep to the temporal lobe. Gyri, visible in temporal lobes pulled away. Gyri. Ridges on the surface of the cerebral cortex. Sulci, shallow grooves between the gyri. Arachnoid matter covers cerebral veins and arteries. Cerebral cortex. Executive suite of the brain side of conscious mind include awareness, sensory perception, voluntary motor initiation, communication, memory storage, and understanding. Cerebral cortex, thin to 4 millimeter superficial layer of gray matter composed of neuron cell bodies, dendrites, glial cells, and blood vessels, but no axons. Cerebral cortex makes up 40% of the brain's mass. It contains 3 types of functional areas: motor areas, sensory areas, and association areas. Cerebral cortex also, each hemisphere controls the contralateral side of the body. Conscious behavior involves the entire side in some way. Motor areas located in the frontal lobe control voluntary movement. Sensory areas responsible for conscious awareness of the sensation. Association areas integrate diverse information, receive inputs from multiple sensory areas, and send outputs to multiple areas. Cerebral lateralization is division of the labor between hemispheres. Hemispheres are not identical. Primary motor cortex. Located in the precentral gyrus, all voluntary motor commands originate here. Precentral gyrus. Gyrus is the frontal lobe that contains the primary motor cortex. Somatotopy. Body mapping in the brain-specific region. The cortex responds to specific body parts. Primary somatosensory cortex, located in the postcentral gyrus, processing general somatic sensations like touch and proprioception. Broca's area is the motor speech area anterior to the inferior premotor cortex, important for speech production. Wernicke's area, posterior association outlined by dashes, assembles thought and comprehends language. Language center includes Broca and Wernicke's areas, typically lateralization to left hemisphere and involved in language skills and movement. Contralateral control. Each hemisphere of the brain controls the opposite side of the body. Ipsilateral occurs below the brainstem where control stays on the same side of the body. Amygdala receives input from sensory systems involved in food intake, sexual behavior, and drawing attention to novel stimuli. When output goes to hypothalamus, influencing somatic and visceral motor systems. Limbic system, connection between emotion, learning, and memory, link between emotion and physiological responses. Prefrontal cortex, seat of judgment, intent, and control over expressions of actions, act as a filter between prefrontal cortex and the diencephalon in emotional interactions.